On this edition, I'm going to break down and predict the upcoming fight on the UFC on Fuel TV 5 card between Stipe Miocic and Stefan Struve. Now this is the main event on the card. These two guys they're heavy hitters, they got good ground games, and this should really be a good main event for a very underrated card. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm just going to break down both fighters. I'm going to do my predictions. So I'll start with Stipe Miocic. Now Stipe Miocic is obviously the guy used to play college baseball. He was just an outstanding athlete. Baseball is a highly recruited baseball player. Wanted to play in the majors. They did college wrestling. He's a Golden Gloves boxing champion. He's a freak athlete for the division. He's got good size. He has a good reach for the division, 80-inch reach. And in regards to his boxing game, the guy has a deadly right hand. He's just got power in both hands. He could do it both in the stand-up game and in the ground and pound department. He has good hand speed for the division, very good footwork for the division. His ability to pop forward in the pocket makes him a very scary fighter. He does have an 80-inch reach. He has a 4-inch reach disadvantage in this fight, given the fact that he's fighting Stefan Struve. However, what he does have in this fight that Struve doesn't is he's just got the athleticism, the explosiveness, and the speed in this fight. I'm definitely giving the speed advantage, and he has very deceiving power. I mean, he's a big guy. He's the undersized guy in this fight, but he's a big guy. And he has a lot of power in his hands. He's finished his fights. There's only one fight that he hasn't finished, and that was against Joey Beltran, who's got a phenomenal chin. But that was the only fight that he could not finish. Other than that, all of his other fights have come via knockout, TKO, however you want to put it, submission via punches. He's got some serious power, and he's always going for the kill, too. He's always popping forward, never takes any time off. And then in regards to the ground game, he can get down. He's got a good wrestling base. He has good takedown defense. And when he's on top, he likes to implement his ground and pound. We saw what he did to Shane Del Rosario. It was just relentless, using his elbows, posturing up, raining down the strikes, good ground control, advancing guard at will. I don't know. We haven't really seen much of his submission game. I'd like to say that he has good submission defense, given his wrestling and grappling background. However, he is not the better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in this fight, given Stefan Struve's outstanding ground game. So a couple things in regards to Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic has a great chin. He's never been finished before. He does have a reach disadvantage in this fight. I'm going to give him the speed advantage in this fight. I'm going to say he's the better striker in this fight. I know Stefan Struve is this established fighter in the heavyweight division. He's a very good fighter. But I'm going to have to say Miocic, given his power and the speed that he possesses, I'm going to give him the striking advantage. Maybe not I don't want to say the pure striker, the more dynamic striker. I'm going to say that in regards to a striker's chance, I'm going to say he's the better striker in this fight. So where I see Stipe Miocic being successful in this fight, I think he's got to come out, he's got to swing heavy, he's got to be aware of. I mean, Struve isn't really an ideal wrestler. I don't see Struve taking Miocic down to the ground, but he's got to be aware of the reach and the long length of Struve with his kicks. And obviously his hands. But I think if Miocic is successful in this fight, he's got to keep the fight standing, and he's got to look for that knockout shot. And Stefan Struve, he's definitely got to test that chin. I think Struve most definitely has a questionable chin. We've seen him get rocked before, and I think the only way for him to win this fight, I mean, he could win the decision. I mean, if he keeps it standing, I think a technical match against Stefan Struve might not be the best idea. But I think if Miocic is going to win this fight, it's going to be very simple. It's going to be a knockout or a TKO. So that's where I see Miocic being successful in this fight. So Stefan Struve. Now, Stefan Struve, the skyscraper, is an absolute monster. He's 6'11". It's 84.5-inch reach. He's got a huge reach. He's not the most explosive and athletic fighter, but he's a pretty smart fighter in the stand-up game. He can get into technical striking matches. He does have good leg kicks. He can use his hands. He's good in the clinch. Whether he wants to flirt with the clinch in this fight against a guy with a wrestling background like Miocic is going to be the biggest question. However, I'd say he's the better technical striker in this fight. I think if he's going to pick his spots, I think he'll be successful. He's got to fight his reach well, too. You got to keep Miocic outside of your reach, because if he gets inside of you, he's going to connect. He's got to fight his range well. He's got to use his footwork and his movement to his advantage, even though he's not the faster guy in this fight. But I think where Struve is going to be successful in the fight is most definitely in the ground. That's if he could get a wrestler the caliber of Miocic down to the ground. However, he is a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Struve has always found a way. I mean, he's a tough guy. If he does get down to the ground, if he can pull guard like he did to LeVar Johnson, if he could somehow get down the ground or fight well off of his back and Miocic wants to take it there, he's got to look for the submission. I think that's the only way. I do not see him knocking out Miocic. Miocic has a good chin. It may be not tested, but I think Miocic's definitely taking the strikes. This is a big up in talent for Miocic. But I think if Struve is going to be successful in this fight, I don't see him winning the decision. I do not see him getting the TKO or knockout. I think if he can fight off his back or somehow pull guard and get in the dominant position and wear down Miocic and try and lock in that submission, I think that's how he's going to be successful. I do not see this fight going to decision. That's just the way I see it. So Struve has got to, where I see him being successful is very simple. He's got to get down to the ground. He's got to find some way to lock in a submission and defeat Miocic via submission. So where my prediction lies in this fight, I think they're both good fighters. I know Stefan Struve he's young. He's fought a lot of fights for a guy his age, but I personally really believe in the hype in Stipe Miocic. The guy's an absolute killer. He's just such a promising fighter for the division. So is Struve. But in regards to this fight, if we're talking about knockout power and the chin of Struve, I do not see it lasting in this fight. I see Miocic coming out early. I see him getting the knockout in the first round. He's going to pop forward. He's going to connect with Struve's chin. He's either going to drop him with the knockout, or he's going to finish one via TKO. So I'm going to take Stipe Miocic defeating Stefan Struve on the UFC on Fuel TV 5 card via TKO or knockout. And that's what I have for this edition. It's Kyle Delaney signing off. I'm out of here.